All right. We'll just...
All right.
Here we go.
Take it away.
Okay. Well, I guess, I don't know. I just want to start by saying I wanted to record this pretty badly because I'm tired of telling this story.
Yeah.
It's a story that I want to share because it's important for people to know what happened and that this needs to be addressed. But I feel like every time I tell this story, I relive this story and...
We have dogs.
Gross. Oh yeah.
Smushy face, slobbery dogs. Every time we have to relive the story, it's difficult and it's exhausting. And there's a lot of it's emotionally exhausting, it's mentally exhausting, and it's actually physically exhausting because you're just like, yeah, your whole body feels this. Yeah. And there's a lot of, stories out there and a lot of things in the news where there are news outlets that I didn't talk to. So they're kind of going based off of what they think they know, and things aren't necessarily completely accurate. Things are getting...
And we're getting questions like, is this true? What is your side of the story?
What happened, what happened before the camera started, and did we deserve it? That type of thing.
Right. And then, I've also posted some things on my social media, luckily because my name was not initially attached to all of the news articles and everything like that. I did not get a huge influx of people in my DMs like Sam did, sending hate comments and all this stuff. My DM inbox was full of people who saw what I posted and wanted to support me. So that was a huge blessing. I got way less hate, but even that is overwhelming.
Yeah. Everything about this is overwhelming. And, I also got a lot of awesome support, a lot of awesome, not just women, but men and people and everyone, he, she, they, them, everyone has been, so many people have been amazing. It's been great. On the other hand,
and I can say that we're both really grateful for everyone who has already sent us their support and their love and their positive energy, and has shared our story with us and is here for us and is on our side. We're really grateful for that. And I also want to say really quick, because this is something I wanted to say and I know I'm going to forget to say it. I also got conversations with people saying, with the climate of police brutality right now, I'm personally, I think we both are aware of our white privilege in this situation.
Absolutely. I've brought it up already. Mm-hmm. I've brought it up a few times on my Instagram and on Facebook. As someone who was being in handcuffs, I knew as soon as I was in handcuffs that being a white woman, I could stand up to that police officer. And he's not going to do anything. I mean, he's going to be absolute dick.
It was still
he's going to be a dick, and he's going to be aggressive, and he could try to hurt me. But at the end of the day, whether it was in the car, or if he was going to take me to jail, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew I was going to get there. I knew I was going to be alive at the end of that exchange.
We had the privilege to know that no matter where this scenario led, we were probably going to be okay. We were probably going to end up on top. And we know that, clearly based on things we've seen in the media and on the news and stories that we've heard from other women, especially women of color, that we're extremely privileged and extremely lucky that even though this was a traumatic situation and it was wrong, we still experienced extreme amounts of privilege in this situation.
Absolutely. And there will never, ever, ever be a moment where we don't recognize it and try to use it to benefit not just white people, but everyone. So this is an issue that happened with us and our privilege, and there are also, the light is
really me.
Sorry.
I don't even want this light on. It's just too much.
Do we look uglier?
Okay.
To not just benefit us and white people, but people of color. So, we got detained for wearing a thong, and then brings up a story of a black woman who was detained for wearing a thong, in 2014 or
Yeah.
16 or something, but it was here, and not just detained. She was arrested, and it was
She was actually arrested.
So like now we can bring this up as well and say, you know, this happened to us, but imagine during, you know, Black Bike Week when Black women's bodies are absolutely just way less respected than ours, and they should be able to wear whatever the actual fuck they want. Are we allowed to swear on your podcast? Yeah. You should be allowed to wear whatever the actual fuck you want. And that includes if you want to wear a thong, and if you want to have your whole butt out while you're riding your motorcycle.
A sheer top, a subjectively
sheer top. If you don't want to wear a bra,
because I just got so mad.
If you don't want to wear a bra, like, we get it. We don't wear bras ever.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't. Your choice of dress should never put you in danger.
Should never put you in danger. And the amount of
it's not a reason.
The level of danger for Black women and women of color is much higher than it is for us. And it's unfortunate that we still were subjected to that, but we are outliers on that. Where if we were Black women or women of color, it could have and probably would have been a lot worse.
And based on everything we've seen, we're considering ourselves very lucky.
Very lucky. And we want to make sure that we say that right from the beginning.
Yes.
This is something that's important to us. We are not going to bypass this. We're not going to ignore it. We're not going to be like, look at our problems. No. They're the worst in the world. We want to let you guys know what happened. We want to let people know how we feel about it, what we're doing about it, and how we're coping with it. You know, a lot of the back end intentions, people ask us, you know, are you going to sue? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Look, we're dealing with those things, and whatever we decide to do, whatever we decide to do, and whatever happens, we will make it known. But for right now, we just want to talk about what happened, how this was wrong, how it's wrong, what's wrong about it, how we're dealing with it.
I want to put out there, I've gotten, not a lot, but just a couple messages from people, and I'm sure these people were genuinely asking this question not to be a dickhead, but kind of a dickhead question. I posted things saying that this event triggered a huge trauma response in me personally. I know you as well. But people were like, why are you even traumatized? You didn't get arrested. You weren't even the one in handcuffs. And I just want to say that, yes, I know that this situation was not like the worst situation in the whole entire world, but I'm just going to ask that everyone be respectful. If you hear someone say that an event was traumatizing for them, that's the end of the story. It doesn't matter if they like stubbed their toe in a grocery cart and it traumatized them. It doesn't matter if they like fell off a cliff and it traumatized them.
You don't get to compare your trauma to someone else's trauma. If I fall into a baby pool and drown in a foot of water, that doesn't make it less of a drowning than if it had been in the ocean. Like, exactly. I'm still drowned. There still is trauma. So if
you never know someone's triggers. You never know.
And also, it's none of your business.
Right.
What you should do is just be respectful of someone if they say they're dealing with trauma, if they say they're dealing with an issue, and if something's traumatic to them, your role as a human being is to be as kind as possible. The golden rule in life is try not to be a cunt.
Absolutely.
And if you are doing something that has a little bit of cuntiness, you're breaking the golden rule. So always be kind if you can. Be respectful. Just don't get into people's business. If someone tells you that this is traumatic, believe them and be there for them and care for them, and don't bash them for this. That is absolutely not how you follow the golden rule. So,
and when I say that I'm experiencing trauma from this event, it's not me asking for pity. I'm not looking for anyone to hand me anything and say, oh, poor little you, oh no. I'm just stating an event that happened to me and being open with how I feel about it.
And the only thing we really ever ask in return when talking about traumatic events or when talking about anything or when putting our stories out there is we ask for you to listen. We ask for your respect. And that's it. You know, I have been absolutely bombarded these last couple days because I am the one who was in handcuffs. I'm the one who whose name is out there. It is the media. It is I live there now. And that's okay. I can handle this. So I'm okay with it. But I can tell you that it's very overwhelming. And there are a lot of people who believe that they are entitled to say something about me in any way. The amount of people who've told me that I'm trashy, I just want attention, I'm doing this for attention, I am just garbage human. People tell me they think I'm ugly. There is a guy on our YouTube video who has gone through almost every comment just to make sure that everyone knows that he thinks I'm ugly, which is like,
I wonder what that guy looks like.
I don't know.
Is he a neckbeard?
And if he is, honestly, guy,
it's none of our business. Like,
not my business. You can look however you want. I can look however I want. Let me do those things.
These like
I can have these nails.
arbitrary opinions have nothing to do with
the issue.
The reason that we're spreading awareness about it has nothing to do with like whether we looked hot or not.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with why we're spreading this issue.
Because an important thing to remember is we didn't go to that beach to look sexy and get attention. We went to that beach so we could sit in the sand, listen to Beyonce, and watch Billy
relax.
surf.
And relax. We just wanted to, what everyone goes to the beach to do, we were there for the same reason. We never asked for anything, you know.
We go to the beach together all the time. Kendyl is my sister-in-law. She is engaged to my little brother. She is my best friend. We do everything together. This isn't something that we're like, ooh, we're gonna go do this thing that's very outside of the realm of our normal lives.
We're doing something that we do every week.
Every week.
In the same
outfits. Like I literally wore that exact same bikini to that same beach the day before.
Yep. Me too.
This isn't something that's like that we did for this day.
No, we were not trying to cause a protest. We were just doing something that we do every day.
Every day. This is just us living our lives. So whenever people are around us, or you know, the way that we dress, it is more provocative. And the reason it's more provocative is because that's what makes us comfortable and that's what we feel empowered in.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how it's perceived by anyone else.
Yeah.
I dress in really short shorts all the time. I've been known for it for years. People will be like, Sam, have you ever worn pants in your life? I have not.
I usually dress like a boy.
Yeah.
Like people have commented, like I used to have this TikTok account and I had to turn off the comments because I had people making like gender offensive comments questioning if I was a boy or a girl, and I'm like, does it matter?
It
like,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you wear. You can dress like a teenage boy. You can dress like in a thong and like pasties. You know, that shouldn't affect your safety and your comfort.
Mm-mm. And the thing is, if you want to wear a thong bikini on the beach, do it. If you want to wear a jean jacket on the beach, do it. If you want to wear a hoodie, do it. If you want to wear a one piece, do it. If you want to come in your wedding dress and it's not even your wedding, but you just love the hell out of that dress, do it. Do it. It's no one else's business what you do. You should be able to do these things. So the fact that...
And this is definitely, in my opinion, mainly a women's issue, that mainly women are given trouble for what they're wearing all the time.
All the time. And it's not just for what we're wearing, it's for how much makeup we choose to put on. It's for what our hair looks like. It's for if our nails are done, or if we're too fat, or if we're too thin, or if our butts are big enough, or if they're not way too big, or if our thighs are touching, or if our shoes are ugly, or how much money did you pay for that top? And granted, men have, men get scrutinized too. Men get scrutinized for the way they look, but it is not the same.
Yeah, they're less likely to be in danger or at risk for a traumatic event based on what they're wearing.
Is it wrong to, bully men for the way they look? Absolutely. Is it wrong to call them out and say, hey, your body's not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not sexy enough, you're not desirable enough? Absolutely. But the majority of the time, for a man, if he is out in public in an outfit that someone else deems inappropriate, he still is safe as he walks down that street or goes on that beach. No one's gonna bother him. They might talk some mad shit about him.
Yeah.
They might say things hurtful.
But he's
going to walk away. Where for women, you could end up in handcuffs. You can be beaten. You can be raped. You can be abducted. And these aren't things that are like, oh, this is so out of the realm of possibility.
No.
I was just handcuffed on the beach for this because another woman decided that my body, she was entitled to the way my body looked, where she was so offended by it that she had to call the police on our bodies. Mm-hmm. And then that put us both in danger, in an environment of danger. And
not just that day where the police could have used their power in an even harsher manner, but even now, because we are beginning, especially Sam, we are beginning to be recognized in our town
mm-hmm.
by people who have seen the video.
Yeah. And like this video of this incident has amassed millions of views throughout TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, and it's millions. It's insane.
Which is a good thing.
It's
we want
good.
the awareness for this issue, but it's also stressful.
It's very, very difficult. Both of us we're handling it in a way that is not probably the healthiest. Like I can't sleep anymore, and Kendall's struggling with just day-to-day stuff. It's very hard for us to live with this type of thing. So it's pretty important, we think, also that we get the story out. We let you guys know this is how we feel. Mm-hmm. And we want you to know what happened. So I think that was a pretty good introduction, just a little preface of all of this.
Some things I wanted to get out of the way. Let's just, I have this overview written down of what happened, like step by step, just so people know what happened.
Yeah, let's just dive in to what happened on this day.
Yeah, we just, like we said, we went to the beach just to go to the beach, just like everyone does who lives by a beach.
Yep. We went with the two of us and my boyfriend, who was surfing. So this whole time, my partner's in the water and we are on the beach. We have like a single towel that we're splitting, which means that both of us are, the most part, sitting in the sand. Which I think leads to a big part of why we got up to go in the water, because we were literally just covered in sand.
We were covered in sand, and we got up a couple times to like wade in the water. Just a regular beach day.
Yeah. And, we're talking shit, and we've got some music, so we're kind of like,
we're vibing on the beach. We're just doing what we do, like
every day,
constantly.
Like, and I'm sure you can see as I sit here, I'm super fidgety. We're always moving. That's just the way that we are.
We're just hanging out. Like, we're just being ourselves. We thought no one was bothered by us just hanging out. However, we were sitting next to an older, maybe like 50 to 60-year-old man. Mm-hmm. And he kept, when you can just, like, you think someone's looking at you, so you look at them and they just keep looking at you. Like, I felt like I was being stared at by this one man. And I was really uncomfortable, and I told, are you staring at me? Yes, I'm uncomfortable. But yeah, it was uncomfortable. And then Sam's back was facing him. And I'm like, he just keeps staring at us. And I just, like, I don't like it. Like, I'm just sitting here in the sand, like, chugging a water bottle and listening to, like, I don't know, like, this is weird. So after we came out of the water, when we were rinsing the sand off of us, I was, like, seeing this man, like, he had his phone up, and it was, like, he was panning and then stopped, right on our faces, and like he didn't stop moving, he was panning and then stopped like right on me as I was walking closer to my towel that he was next to, and I felt really uncomfortable. Like, I just did not feel that was okay. So I went up to him and I said, "Excuse me, were my friend and I involved in that video you just took?" And instead of responding in a rational way saying no, or saying,
even like,
yes,
I'm not sure, I was just taking a video of this.
He got extremely angry, and started rambling and yelling. I couldn't even really tell what he was saying because he got so like heated. And I was like, okay, well, can I see the video then to make sure I'm not in it if you say I'm not in it? And he handed me his phone, and I said, yep, here's the video. And there we are in the video, our faces. I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to delete it. So I deleted it, and I handed him his phone back, and I said, you should ask people if you want a video of them, it could make someone uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I just want to interject here and be clear. I know that legally you can take pictures of people and you can take videos of people.
It's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
It's just uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. And so as a superhuman decent thing to say or to do is when you're following the golden rule, which is try not to be a cunt, and someone comes up to you and says, hey, I think you did something that made me uncomfortable, the first thing you should do is be like,
I didn't mean to do that.
If you didn't mean to, you can generally, no one's going to be mad at you if you've done this on accident. If you say, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, and discuss it, hey dude, that would have been great. We can delete that video.
Yeah.
We're on our way. That interaction is done.
Yeah, I've actually done this by accident.
Yeah.
When I was at work one time, I took a picture and someone said, oh my god, am I in the background of that? Please don't let me be in the background of that.
Yeah, and you're like,
I said,
okay.
no, but here's my phone, look at whatever picture you want, I'm so sorry.
Also, if you swipe too many times, you're gonna see my boobs.
I did say that
Yeah.
as well. But, yeah, so we just expressed to this man that he did something that made us uncomfortable. He got very angry, handed me his phone, which if you hand someone your phone who's a stranger in public, like, I mean, that's risky.
I mean, she could have thrown it in the ocean.
I could have kept it.
She could have put it down her pants.
I could have like spit on it. Like I could have done something horrible. Not that I would ever do that, but I just simply deleted the picture and handed it back. 20 minutes later, he comes up to our towel and starts yelling at us.
Yeah, so he comes up. So at this point, like we walked away from this whole thing when Kendyl said you should ask people if you are going to video them, which like again, you don't have to, but we're just trying to have like a don't be a cunt moment, not like this is the law moment. So we go back to the towel and the same thing, we're sitting, we're listening to our music, and this guy, he comes up now into our space, into the towel where we are at our towel, and he says, I just want you ladies to know, you made me delete a video that was going to be sent to my dying father. And we were like, first of all, it's been 20 minutes. You couldn't have just taken another video. The beach is still there. Yeah. The ocean's still there.
Horrible argument.
Yeah. The only, are you trying to say you wanted to send a video of us to your dying father? Because in that case,
weird.
No, I'm sorry. I don't really care how much how it might make him feel before he dies, because it makes me feel pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and he was very angry. He didn't come up to us like someone who was genuinely upset. Like you can tell, he didn't come up to us because he was upset. He came up to us as if he had something to prove, and it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was almost like this I bet if I tell them that I was gonna send it to my father, then they'll feel like
it was
assholes.
Extremely ingenuine.
It was very ingenuine. And we even said, like, look, if you're gonna you want to send a video to your dad, do it.
Yeah,
take another one.
He kept yelling at us as he walked away.
And he kept saying, like, oh, he was so upset, so distraught by us that he couldn't take another video.
And then he said certain things, I'm not verbatim, but things like, you guys aren't all that.
Oh, you're not all that. Yeah, he did
like
do that.
Didn't
you're not as hot as you think you are. And we're like,
we just said we were uncomfortable.
Yeah, we didn't say, like, anything sexual about it. We just said we didn't want to be in your video, dude. Like, the words we said, he took way further, thinking that, you know, we were, I don't know what he thought. That what?
Or that we were...
That we think that we're, like, supermodels. Dude, we had probably not showered in 4 days before we went to the beach.
I was, like, disgusting.
I had a baseball cap and a bikini that I had worn the day before. Like, I know how not hot I am in those moments.
I literally went in the water and there was like eyeliner down to my cheekbones.
Yeah, there was. You looked crazy.
I looked
horrible. She looked crazy. I hadn't worn makeup, I think, in that day in probably like 2.5 weeks.
I was having literally like a Britney Spears makeup moment.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah. So anyway, that interaction happened, which was crazy.
And then we see a nearby woman talking to the man who had just came up to us. And, you know, I didn't think anything of it. I thought their family, whatever he's telling them happened.
We had even said, like, oh, is that the guy's wife? That's weird. Like,
yeah, why are they sitting at different towels or different, under different umbrellas? Like, we thought they were related and that they were just conversing about their, you know, situation. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that man left and they, I guess, were not related. She was just a woman sitting on the beach with her daughter who wanted to ask this man about his situation with us. And then maybe another 20 minutes go by and we see her standing next to 2 cop cars. And you know, like when there's cops on the beach, everyone looks because
Yeah.
you're like, ooh,
Who did it?
who did it? So we're seeing this woman talk to 2 cops.
But we're kind of like, okay, you know, whatever she's talking to cops about, we don't really have any issues right now. We're not even thinking this has anything to do with us. I know my back's to the cops, and at this point, my partner comes out of the ocean because he sees the cops as well, and he was.
I thought they were gonna try and bust people for not social distancing.
Yeah, I had no idea what they were doing. Like nothing in my brain was like, these guys are coming for you because we hadn't.
I know.
Like you know, when sometimes you're like, oh, did I do something wrong?
Is
like
it me?
shit, I gotta go put the.
We were,
You know, hide my knives.
we
I
were
don't
like,
know.
is there someone dangerous on the beach?
Right,
Is there
what's going on?
the hurricane coming sooner than we thought? Like,
Oh, yeah,
I don't
it was
know.
the
Like, I
hurricane
just
day.
didn't think it was anything that had to do with me personally.
Right, because that would be crazy.
Yeah.
But so my partner comes up and he puts a surfboard down and he's just kind of standing there and watching the cops, and they are now approaching us. And they come up to us and they're like, first of all, these 2 male police officers come out to us in a straight up machismo.
Yeah.
They're there to let us know that they're tough, which, you know, your cops.
I mean,
Do
maybe
you,
they were
bro?
just trying to look professional or something.
Sure.
'cause They were, I don't know.
But when you come in with an attitude of, you know, I'm here to make sure shit doesn't go down, it kind of, there's tension in the air there.
It already makes people unnecessarily uncomfortable.
Yeah. So the first thing that he says to us isn't like, excuse me, or anything. He just goes, what's the problem, ladies?
Yeah.
And we were like, I
We
don't know.
had the wrong people. I thought that he thought that we called the police.
Right, me too. Because that's
Yeah.
what I was like, we didn't call you.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem.
We're like,
we're
you
just
have the
here
wrong
listening to
people,
music, you know, doing the thing.
Yeah. So
Apparently, we were the problem.
yeah. So he starts telling us that we're violating public nudity rules.
Well, I think the way he actually worded it, and like I said, this isn't verbatim. I'm going off of like as close as I remember as possible. So forgive me if there are a couple words wrong. But he said, no, you can't be dressed like that. And we were like, okay.
Yeah, he didn't say public nudity right away. You're
Yeah,
right.
he said you can't be dressed like
You
that.
can't wear that on the beach.
Yeah, something like that.
And we weren't really sure what he meant.
Yeah. So we're like, okay.
Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? And he was like, oh, your bikinis, you can't wear those. And I said, well, can you show me where it says, show me the law that says I can't wear a thong on the beach. Or that I can't wear this on the
I
beach.
don't even think you said that. You just said, it's hard to remember because it was all happened quickly.
I absolutely asked him to show me.
Yeah, you
this.
asked him to show you, like, basically what you were not allowed to wear,
Right.
what you were being put out for.
Right. What is the law? What is the ordinance? What is whatever?
Because the word, like, quote, thong didn't even come into play for a while.
For a while, yeah. You know, what am I not allowed to wear? Show me where it says it, basically. Like, throw the book at me. I want to know. And this officer's response is, and I quote, no.
Yeah. We asked to be shown what we were doing wrong. Like, I don't know. He started saying things about, like, specific parts of our outfits, and we were like, okay, well, this is a bit confusing. Can you show us where it says that we're specifically violating the law? And he says no.
No, that was it. That was his answer. And so I'm like, granted, there's already tension here, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Yeah.
fuck you. And I went, okay, we're done here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and have an interaction with
Yeah.
some cop who wants to throw his weight around at me
It just
and
seemed
then
like
not
he was
cooperate
arguing.
with me. Yeah, like
it didn't
he was
seem
trying.
like he wanted anything.
He was
to
trying.
happen.
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to make happen, but if he's not going to tell me why he stopped talking to me and what I can and can't do. He straight up said no. So in my mind, we're done with this conversation.
Yeah.
I turned to go get my towel.
Yeah, we said,
okay, let's
then we'll
go.
just go home. That's what happened.
We said we'll leave. I think I might have said let's walk away or something about walking away.
Whatever, just leaving the situation because he said, you can't wear that. And we said, can't wear what? He couldn't answer us. Can we see what you're talking about? No. Okay, then we'll go.
Goodbye. So as soon as I turn my back to him, he grabs me. I can feel him grab me. He must have rushed me because it took about that quick.
I have a lot to say about this moment.
Yeah. She saw it. I didn't. All I know is 1 second I was walking. The next second I'm being very forcibly detained. So take it away.
Yeah, this So, before we finish, well, you know what? Why don't we do this? I have a lot to say about that moment and how it affected me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Let's finish the story for a second, and then I want to talk about why that was like a vital part of my experience in this whole situation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's continue. This guy grabs me. He's telling me to put my hands behind my back. I'm starting to pull back on him because if you grab anything, if you grab a person, you grab an animal, anything, if I'm just grabbing you like this, it's terrifying.
It's human nature to
gonna
resist
try to get away from that because it's weird. It's a weird thing.
And also, not to try to get away, but the way that he grabbed you made it hard for you to stand up straight.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on sand, and you were falling down.
Yeah, and he's pulling my arms up, back here, and he's grabbing me very tightly on my upper arm, and I am like, I'm now at like 1,000,000. This is where like, in the video I've had people, or like you can see, I start to, I'm kind of making these like smiling faces, like, this is not me laughing at this situation. No. This is a panic.
This is a panic and
response.
Stress reaction.
Yeah, this is a straight up stress response. Yeah. Like, I'm sucking teeth. Like, what? I don't know how to handle this, and my body is just reacting. At one point, both men are holding me. Both men have a hold of my arms. Like,
2 police officers to hold on to one like 5 to 100-pound young woman who is just standing there.
I'm 105 pounds. Like, I know that
you weren't even moving your feet.
I wasn't moving my feet. I know that I'm not like, I'm muscular. I look like I could beat someone's ass. Yeah. But do they legitimately think a 105-pound girl could beat the shit out of both of those police officers? That they both needed to do that and detain me like that? It was insane. Anyway.
And for you, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but from my perspective, you moving around while they were holding you and putting you in handcuffs, and like 2 men were holding your arms and you were moving around, was, from my perspective, you were moving your body because, one, you couldn't stand up straight and you were going to fall down because they weren't holding you properly and you were in the sand and they were holding your arms in a way that made you like fall forward.
Yeah, it was wild.
And 2, as a woman, for many of us, our response to being detained and held by
anyone, but mostly a man,
can induce a trauma response.
This is fight or flight. It's absolutely fight or flight.
I mean, I'm not. Was it for you when you were moving around the case where it wasn't you thinking, I want to walk away, so I'm going to try walk away while I'm in handcuffs?
No.
It was probably your brain being, trained by the collective past experiences and your own experiences being a woman.
Yep.
Feeling scared of being held by men.
Yep, absolutely. And like, it is an absolute, your body will just react. Like, anyone can tell you who's never been in handcuffs before, just cooperate, just sit there. You don't really get that opportunity because once you're cuffed,
your fight or flight.
It's literally just fight or flight. Your adrenaline is through the roof. You're at 1,000,000. You can't sit still. You're shaking. My thoughts are, am I gonna should I kick this guy? Should I try to run? I'm trying to keep myself still because I know rationally that I shouldn't kick him or try to run.
But the brain was just like,
your brain is
I'm being held by 2 men.
It's crazy.
And I'm scared.
Yeah,
that's what your brain was.
So that is a lot of like what my responses were while I was handcuffed. At this point, once they have me in cuffs, is when Billy started to videotape. Yes. Once he pulled out his phone and started to record.
This is something I had to tell a lot of people who are asking, like, oh, well, this isn't that bad. I mean, first of all, it isn't bad. It is. But secondly,
the most aggressive part
was
not on that video because it was the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, by the time the cops, from the moment they walked to our spot to the time they had me in handcuffs, I would say it was 35 seconds of interaction at most.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were there and having this conversation for 10 minutes. It was not a
conversation. It was an exchange of very few words. And then
immediate action.
Manhandled by 2 cops.
It felt absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So from this point on, like everything from this point on is on the video. We'll go over some key things, but for the most part, we don't really want to relive this all over again. You see us being taken to the car. We're trying to figure out like what's going on. We're trying to figure out why they have us. They show us a law that says you can't be nude, and he kind of says it to us like this, you cannot be nude, and we're like,
but we've never taken our clothes off while we're on the beach.
You know, we're not nude in public. That would be public indecency and is absolutely illegal.
Yeah.
But like my butthole's covered,
if
my
you watch
vagina's
the
covered.
video, you can see that. First of all, they keep saying things, and then when we say, okay, well, how are we violating that law right now with what we're wearing?
And then
they struggle to answer, and they change their mind.
And a lot of times when we would say that, that's when the cop who's holding me would start telling me to stop tweaking.
Yes.
Which, first of all, if you don't know, tweaking means you're on meth. I've never done meth in my life, especially not that day. So I was not tweaking.
She was having anxiety.
I was, yeah, exactly. And if you've ever seen someone who is on meth, like that cop would have a much more difficult time holding on to that person.
You were just trying to stand up straight.
I was trying to stand up straight. I was trying to get him away from me. I'm already in cuffs. Why does he have to be so aggressively holding me?
And he was.
What am I gonna do?
He, from my perspective, seemed to be moving you.
Yeah, he was basically the puppeteer in this.
He was holding your arms or your cuffs and lifting them above your shoulder blade height, which, like, I mean, luckily you're a contortionist, because
I am.
If that would have happened to, like, Billy, he would probably have face planted, because he's not that flexible. It's uncomfortable, and you want to put it's human nature when you're being, like,
if you're being moved in one direction, that's going to throw you off balance. Your body's automatically going to counter it.
Especially if you're already in that fight or flight reaction where your body just wants to do what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm. If anyone, like, it is the first thing people will tell you is, if I were in that situation, I would do X, Y, Z. Honestly,
but you weren't in that.
You weren't in that situation, and you don't know what your body's going to do. Like, you don't know how you're going to react with a gun to your head. You don't know how you're going to react in these types of things. It's really, really, really strange. So whenever we would try to ask these police officers, you know, what violation are we breaking? They're trying to tell us, you can't have anatomical parts showing. Well, guy, that just means like a part of your anatomy. So like I can't show like the tip of my nose. I can't show my belly button. Like what are you talking about?
They kept changing their mind about what rule we were breaking, and then they were unable to properly explain to us any of these rules.
Right. And then once we would ask them questions about that, once Billy's talking, Billy's asking a lot of questions. Billy did a great job of keeping me from losing it, and then also keeping them kind of focused on trying to answer him instead of, pulling us to the ground or like taking things further with us. So whenever he would ask them these questions to like clarify what's going on, the cops would kind of deflect to, I'm being detained for the way that I'm acting.
Yeah.
Stop tweaking. So this guy's trying to make it sound like I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing something crazy. Like I'm resisting. Which is really just this deflection of
just
we don't know how to answer you. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And for me, like, I wasn't put in handcuffs, and they kept not being able to decide if I was even detained or not.
Right.
Because they said I wasn't. And then I said, okay, can I go get my things? No, you're detained.
Yeah.
Okay, but am I allowed to do this? And then they said something else that
we were like,
they
can
couldn't
we just
even
leave?
decide
Can
if
we
I was
go
being
home?
detained or not.
It's also important to notice, like, we tried to leave at the beginning before I was in cuffs. We tried to leave several times.
Multiple times.
I would say at least
can we just go home?
Can we just go home?
If we're not dressed properly, can we go home?
No. And their answers were, the first time the answer wasn't anything. The first time the answer was for me to get thrown into handcuffs. Yeah. And every time after that was no. No, at this point, these police officers have not even asked our names. No. They don't know who we are. So we're being detained with they don't know why we're being held.
Yeah.
They don't know who we are. They haven't done, like, literally, it's just like, nothing seemed to have been done right.
Doesn't make sense.
So they call their supervisor. Supervisor rocks up, thankfully, in a mask, the only one. Just a side note, we all had masks on us. In our bags.
Not on us, but if we were to leave the beach to go
anywhere else,
in public,
we had our masks with us. So that, because this is a pandemic and we take this seriously, we're socially distant on the beach because we live together.
We weren't planning on we're not hanging out with anyone.
Yeah. I was not planning on getting detained by police officers that day. So I wasn't wearing my mask when they came up to us. They didn't have masks on or gloves, and they didn't even give us time to put masks on if we wanted to. I had a mask with me, but it stayed in my bag
because let us go get our things because they couldn't decide, was I detained? Was I under, what did they say, investigation?
Under investigation.
They couldn't decide what we were allowed or not allowed to do, if we wanted to leave and not get arrested and fined. They kept changing their mind about why I was even involved in this. Yeah. Was I under investigation? Was I not dressed properly? They kept changing their mind. Was I wearing a thong? Was I not wearing a thong? Could you see my nipples through my shirt? They couldn't even tell me exactly the reasons what was going on.
Yeah. So anyway, supervisor comes. He is wearing a mask. He gives them the order to uncuff me, finally. And we are able to talk with him. And at this point, the officer who had me in cuffs, we're going over to the supervisor's car. He's trying to get in the car, and I was like, you gotta get him away from me, because I don't want to see him at this point. This dude I'm afraid of this man. I will be afraid of this man until the day I die.
He's just doing too much.
I see him when I close my eyes. I am afraid of him, and I will say that right now. If I see him in public, I will be afraid of him. He has caused a traumatic fear response in me. I'm scared of this man. I don't want him around me. Right. So we're going back and forth anyway with just the supervisor. The other two cops, they've backed them up. The supervisor's telling us, oh, well, here's where it says you can't have your butt out, your buttocks. Which one of the other officers referred to as your ass cheeks.
Yeah, he said, he kind of chimed in, the supervisor was already reading something or saying something to us, and then he goes, yeah, you can have ass cheeks out. And I said,
what is this?
What, is this bullying now?
Yeah.
Why can't you just call things what they are?
Yeah. Well, I know I said it to the officers a couple times, we're adults.
We're adults.
Can we please use
words
you're down there.
Yeah.
Your parts.
Your parts.
You need to be specific.
You can't just say parts if this is going to be illegal.
So my elbow? That's a part.
What?
We're adults. If you want, you need to tell us what we can and cannot do. So if I can have my right nipple out but not my left nipple out, you need to be very specific about that.
Your parts.
Tell me what is
anatomical parts.
Right. We tried to we fought them with that a few times. Don't tell us your parts. Be specific, because that's how laws need to be enforced.
And then another thing that people were confused about is, why did we stay after you were uncuffed? And one, it was because they didn't actually tell us that we were
not free to go.
Released. They did not say we were free to go. And while we were under the impression that we were not free to go, we wanted answers, because now we're concerned about going back to the beach because we never got a clear answer as to what we are allowed to wear without being arrested.
So I can tell you, when the officer took my cuffs off, he told me, one, we're not free to go. And as he's taking my cuffs off, he's like, are you going to run? Are you going to run? Are you going to run? I'm not going to run. You just told me I'm not free to go. Why am I going to run?
Yeah,
this is insane. So make that very clear. Just because the cuffs came off did not mean that we were allowed to leave. Had we tried to leave, I can guarantee you I would have been right back in those cuffs and probably in the back of the car.
Probably in the car, yeah.
So no, we were not free to go. Yeah. So anyway, we get into this conversation about how much of your butt is allowed to show, because it's not specific. I know for a fact in Florida, because I have a friend who lived there, that you can wear a thong, but it has to be an inch thick at least on your band. I assume the whole way around, whatever it is. There's an actual very specific and objective law. This is what it is. It's an inch. You can read it in numbers. There's your law. There's no room for interpretation. Here there is. It's basically up to the officers discretion of who can get arrested and who can't. So we asked him, we said, you know, how much is it? What if it's this much of your butt is out, like just the cheek? And the officers are like, yeah, that's not in compliance with the ordinance. It's like, well, what about this person and this person? And all of these
men
people
wearing a Speedo.
Yeah, and those men in the Speedo, by the way, reached out to me.
Aww.
They're adorable and I love them, and I can't wait
sweet.
to hang out with them. They're married to each other.
Oh,
I know. Anyway,
I would like to be their friends.
We're going
hey,
to be.
Speedo men, if you're watching this, I love you.
Anyway, so we're at this point now we're trying to make a point and say you can't just pick and choose. You can't just say, well, I think as the police officer, I think this body is breaking that ordinance, but this body doesn't need to be policed, even though you just said all of these bodies are breaking the ordinance. You said it to us.
They even agreed when we pointed. We said, okay, so for example, that group of women over there with those types of bikini bottoms on, would they technically be in trouble if someone were to call the police on them? And they said yes.
They said yes. They absolutely said yes.
And I said, well, are we going to do anything about this? And they said, I don't have time for this right now.
They said, yeah, they were saying they didn't need to police everyone on the beach. They didn't have time for it. And the reason that we got in trouble is because the woman who called the police had children.
She said that she was uncomfortable.
She was uncomfortable because of her children. And this is something I have a problem with. And I said it on the video. I said it to the police officer. And it sounds awful where I said, I don't care about your kids. Which is not true. I do care about your children.
Not
I think
kids in general.
Right. I don't care about kids.
It's not that we don't care about kids. It's that
it's not my job to
decide
to
what your
change
children
myself to make your child comfortable.
No.
It's not my job.
We are not your kids' parents.
To cover my body because you might not want your child to see a butt. What you should do, actually, I'm not gonna tell you what you should do as a parent. I'm not gonna tell you what you should do to parent your child because I'm not a parent and I don't have children. I will tell you that if I were a parent, I would teach my child to mind her own business. That it's not up to other people to make her comfortable, but it's up to herself to make herself comfortable. So if she sees something that she doesn't like, you can easily stop looking at it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to dwell on it. It doesn't have to.
If someone is not causing you harm or putting you in a threatening situation, you don't have to do anything about it.
Carry on with your day. It's not, just carry on with your day. Like we're not forcing this girl to.
We didn't talk to her.
To look at us. We didn't go up to her. I didn't even know she existed until this moment.
I saw her like by a cop car and like, you know.
So the cop was telling us something about the kids, and I was like, look, he's like, well, what would you do if this was something? I was like, I would just leave.
I would just mind my
And he was like, well, you can do that. I was like, so we can leave. You're going to let us leave. We've been asking you this for 20 minutes if we can leave, and the answer has been no, but now we can leave. Cool. And at that was the end of what I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You told me I can go. We're done. We turned on our heels and we left. We got our stuff.
The conclusion that they gave us was what we had proposed in the first place.
They literally agreed to the thing that we tried to do from the beginning. After 20 minutes of being humiliated, after they detained us,
being made to look like criminals,
detained us for public indecency, but then the whole time they have us not allow us to cover up, not bother to put a towel over us.
Pointing out which body parts that they could see, quote, inappropriately or illegally, but they did not allow us to go get anything to cover, and they also did not provide us with anything to cover. So, if they really did believe that we were indecent.
If we were so indecent, why not just let us leave the beach? Why make us stand there in cuffs to be made an example of? Still in that indecency, like
exactly.
It just absolutely blows my mind. And anything else that happened outside, like what happened after the video, there were some things that went down that it involved the woman being afraid of us. She wanted a police escort to her car.
She said that she was
petrified
to walk to her car alone,
which
was confusing.
It's confusing.
And also the officer came up to us and said she was petrified to walk to her car when you're leaving, and we said we're leaving soon, we're waiting for a ride. and he also made remarks as if he was on our side after all of that had went down, and we were, you know, after we had been through all that at his hands,
granted, he was not the police officer who put me in cuffs. This was not him.
Yes, it was the other one.
It was the other one.
However, he was still
involved.
Just as involved as the other one.
So I get, you know, the police officers have to do their jobs, especially when they're not so quick to be aggressive. I give much more props to Officer Reffy than to Officer Dick, because he handled it much better, and I get he's just doing his job. He's
not
just
well, but
doing
better.
his job. The problem is not with these men individually, especially men like the supervisor and like Officer Reffy. The problem is with the system in itself. They're taught, these police officers are taught that they need to be aggressive and that they need to diffuse situations that don't exist yet. So they've already created this situation before it's even started. The problem is that they've got male police officers with too much to do. Why wouldn't you send first of all, why wouldn't you send a female officer down to deal with this? Or send some type of counselor down? This is something that this system needs to change. So we're not here to be like, fuck the police. We're not here to do that, because you know, I've been to you know, Black Lives Matter rallies. I've been vocal in saying, you know, defunding the police, and I believe in that. But I believe in defunding the police doesn't mean like abolish the police. It means make the system better for everyone. Like, they need better training. They need less work to do. They have to do so much. There needs to be more systems in place to handle certain things. You can't have a police officer whose job is to arrest naked women on the beach and control the drug problems in the town, and investigate robberies, and catch people who are speeding, and go chase down the neighbor's dog, and go to this
find lost items,
and go to domestic abuse calls. They have so much to do that when it's spread out so thin, they can't do it well. So I just want to make that very clear, that I want to see a better system in place, and my issue is with the system. Not with these individuals,
because this is how they were trained to act. This isn't necessarily who they wanted to grow up to be. It's who the system funneled them into becoming.
I want a police system that's not going to show up and throw someone in handcuffs because they think a situation is going to happen. And I want a police system where if they do that, it's not where it's, how am I going to say this? If something like that were to happen, the color of my skin shouldn't determine how I handle this situation. I'm very fortunate that I was able to handle it the way I was and get out of it the way that I did. We both are, because if we were not white women, we would be in a very...
I mean, we saw the example of 2012 or 2009 where the woman was arrested and her mugshots are on the internet
all over the internet for wearing the same thing we did.
It doesn't say violence, it doesn't say public nudity. It says wearing a thong. And she was arrested, and it's unbelievable. And I mean, on this same note, yesterday I was sitting outside my apartment complex, and officers approached us, and they were looking for a missing child,
which is still a lot
by the
of
way,
things to do.
They found the child.
Great.
Okay. So they approached us and said, "Have you seen this boy? We're looking for him." And, you know, we said we would help them look and let them know, whatever. And, you know, I was like, that's what the officers are here for, to help people who need help.
Yep, absolutely.
Not to tell people what to wear. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There a lot of things need to change. This law that's in existence, and we should probably like get to some more important, like start to wrap things up, because it's almost an hour of us talking about this.
I think
I want to
share why we want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I want to put something in important that a lot of people have said to me about this was, oh, you broke the law because of the thong ordinance. You broke the law, accept the consequences. And I absolutely want to address this, because here's the thing. Fuck that law. I can wear that bathing suit legally anywhere in this country. I've lived in many states. I've been on many beaches. I've walked down the street in Vegas in a thong legally. these types of laws that are in place are outdated, they're archaic, they're dehumanizing to women, they're objectifying to women. They put the blame on sexual harassment on the woman for how she is dressed.
Mm-hmm.
That gives people an excuse to do things like, go into like rape tendencies and things like that. This law needs to change. This whole thing needs to change. So, did I technically like break this ordinance? Yeah. Do I care? Fuck no, I don't care. That law should not exist, that ordinance should not exist. And that is the point. So if you really think that because something's written down that's outdated and bullshit gives someone else an excuse to police my body and put me in cuffs, you have a fundamental problem as a human about how humans need to be treated.
Absolutely.
Kendyl, take it away. I just want to make that. I want to make that so clear because
absolutely should be made
it
clear.
has been an argument on these posts, on all the videos, on the news, things like, oh well, she broke the law. Cool. Here's what I think about your law, and this is why. And it's not just me saying like fuck this law, I'm gonna break it. I think this law is damaging to people. It is damaging, and a law that is damaging, or an ordinance. It's not even a law. It's an ordinance. An ordinance that is damaging needs to not exist. Okay. I think I've made that point clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. I think what I want to say about this is, for the sake of this, me putting this on my own podcast, something on a different type of level that I got out of this is it's dangerous for women to slut shame other women. And when I say dangerous, I'm not being dramatic, because it's dangerous to slut shame women, especially if you're another woman. It's dangerous to you as well. You're hurting yourself when you hurt other women. You're hurting your own chances of safety in your society. I want to come back to how I said I had a lot to say about the way that you were cuffed when it was not filmed. So the part that was not filmed was Sam being put in handcuffs, and it's going to be hard for me to talk about because this is one I had a trauma response, not just because of the whole situation. This is why I am still struggling to mentally overcome this event days later. I've described it to people like this: the way that they put Sam in handcuffs and grabbed her and manhandled her was the way that you would grab like a toddler who is about to run into oncoming traffic, but worse. This, for me personally, shot me back in time to being a child. The way that this officer chose to cuff Sam, who was not trying to, quote, escape, is the way that my abusive father would grab my mother and sister when he was angry and abusing them. This is not the way that an officer should cuff a woman or anyone who has not done anything dangerous. It's abusive. This, I have chills all over my body right now. It's really hard for me to talk about. To see, my sister be grabbed and manhandled in the same way that I had seen my, abusive, crazy father grab and manhandle my innocent mother and sister, threw me into a huge trauma response. My brain responded in a way that, if you've seen the video, a lot of people send me messages saying, you handled this so well, you stayed very calm. Thank you. I appreciate that. However, this isn't necessarily what was happening. My brain had the trauma response of disassociation, which is when literally parts of your brain stop functioning. your reasoning skills are lowered, your response skills are lowered. It's like a living coma. You're not really there. I wasn't really there. It's honestly hard for me to even remember the event in full. Retelling the story 100 times reinforced that. But it was a trauma response to go into a complete episode of disassociation, and my brain literally shut down and I was frozen and terrified after seeing an officer do something physically to Sam that I had only seen done in a domestic abuse situation. This, caused me to spiral into a mental health disparity situation. Ever since this happened, I've been struggling with on and off episodes of disassociation. I have to go back to therapy. Somehow I will have to afford therapy.
If you want to help us afford therapy, because we're not fucking kidding, we're going to have to go to therapy for this. Please do so.
Please help.
This whole country is broken, and now we're gonna have to deal with this. We're not handling this well.
Yeah.
I've been manic. I've been forgetful. Kendall's been disassociated.
I've been having short-term. Max can even tell you things that I probably didn't even notice that I've done. I've been having short-term memory problems because of these dissociative episodes. I forget if I've done something. I started cooking something the other day, forgot that I was cooking it, and left it on the stove for an hour. I left my
house
without shoes, and I didn't notice.
I lost my shoes yesterday. I left my house without shoes. I don't
just things that you would think an old senile person would do is what's happening to me. I'll forget if I've I'll think, I don't know, I'll think I've completed a task and I didn't. It sounds silly. I forgot to feed my cats and they started crying, and I realized that I had thought that I fed them and I didn't, and that realization that I literally had short-term memory loss caused me to fall on the ground and sob, because I'm like, why is this happening?
It's very overwhelming. Everything's very overwhelming. And I know I've said it a million times. I've said it to anyone who's reached out to me. How are you? How's this? How's everything? I am incredibly overwhelmed. Yeah. I can't do anything else. I can't think about anything else. I try to unplug and turn things off and focus on something else. Watch a movie, do something else. And you can't. It's right here.
Yeah.
You can't get away from anything. And it's just, that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
And we were put into this situation because of slut shaming, and you can't slut shame women. I will fight tooth and nail until the day I die for women and for their right to be sluts if they want to be, and for their right to not be sluts if they want to be.
And to also not be deemed, quote, a slut by what they're wearing.
Right. Women, we can do whatever we want as long as we're not hurting anyone else. We're going to follow our golden rule. Don't be a cunt. Try not to be a cunt. But I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to fight for all of us. This is it. This is a thing, and I'm not going to be silenced.
No.
And you can probably see more of these podcasts from us as this continues and as this unfolds.
This one we had a lot to say today.
Yes.
I think maybe another day, or I can do it later, but I really want to talk about why specifically women need to stick up for other women.
Yeah, but I think we're already over an hour, so we're at an hour and 4
This is not the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yes, so we're going to end this here today and say thank you for listening and for taking the time and for being so interested and so supportive and so loving. And, also remember, as you're going about your day, if you have something really negative you want to say to someone, maybe just don't. Mind your business. Try not to be a cunt.
If you're having an issue, think about, is it really something that the police need to be involved in, or can you just mind your business?
Yeah. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you.